Hello, everyone, and welcome to Red Right Hand Forge. This is Marshall. For the past few weeks, I've been pretty much stuck inside, recovering from this lingering sinus infection. It's been awful. So I haven't really been out much, and we have a pretty seasonably fair day. It's December 30th, and right now it's about 55 degrees. So I thought this would be a good idea, a good opportunity for me to kind of show you around my shop. I'm not doing a lot of bladesmithing right now. It's just cold in my shop. I do have heaters set up, but it takes them a while to get going. And again, I've been sick, so I really haven't been out here that much. But I thought I'd do a quick video and just kind of show you what I'm working with here. I've had some people asking about my equipment and my setup. My wife and I bought this house just over 2 years ago, and we were very lucky that it came with this beautiful detached garage. It's a 3-bay garage here with plenty of room for me to work. So I have a metal shop set up, where I do all my bladesmithing, and I have a wood shop over on the other side, which I won't get into. It came with an auto lift, a 9,000 pound rotary lift, which is awesome. And I make use of that every once in a while. And it also came with a big air compressor set up, and it's already routed to access points all around the shop here. So that's pretty great. Other than that, I've just kind of added as I've gone along. So yeah, we'll get into it, and I'll just kind of show you what I work with when I'm making these videos, and give you some idea of, if you're interested in looking into making knives and getting into bladesmithing. Of course, you can start with the bare minimum, and you really don't need much to make a blade. But if you're curious about how I do it and my process, here we go.
We'll start things off with the essentials. If you're going to move metal around, you're going to need somewhere to bang on it, and an anvil is the way to go. I'm not an anvil elitist, and this isn't an antique, really cool anvil or anything. This is just a cheap Amazon purchase, but for bladesmithing, you really don't need much, and this has been more than suitable for my purposes. I did splurge a little bit, and I got the Feline accessory upgrade, which really helps me in my process, but again, that's not necessary for bladesmithing. You are going to need some way to heat that metal up, and most people prefer a forge. This is my Mr. Volcano. Once again, just a cheap Amazon purchase, but it works just fine. It easily gets up to forge welding temperatures. You can see it's a 2-burner, pretty basic setup, but it definitely does the trick. I built this little stand for it so I can move it around and keep it from blasting me while I'm going back and forth between the hammer and the press. Just so you're aware, I'll do a little price rundown at the end of this video, so I'm not going to get into that too much as I'm going along. And this is a Clay Spencer tire hammer. If you're looking for a somewhat, or at least comparatively affordable option for a power hammer, I highly recommend you check these out. You can either buy the plans online and build it yourself, or if you're lucky, you might be able to track down one of these workshops they do occasionally around the country. I've seen they do, big group workshops where you just buy the materials, you pay the class fee, and it's a lot cheaper than just buying one outright. But you can do that too. I picked this one up used from a guy in Florida. It was in good working condition when I got it, and it's been great ever since. So I highly recommend it if you're looking for a power hammer option. And this is I think it's 27 ton. This is my hydraulic press, which I picked up from Clark Iron Forge, a guy based down in Tennessee, if I remember correctly. You can see I made a little foot pedal for it there, but you can buy these with foot pedals if you want it to look a little more elegant and probably be a little smoother than the one I made, but this does the trick. You really don't need a hydraulic press and a power hammer. I mean, really all you need is a hand hammer and an anvil if you want to get, old school on it. But I like having the option. I like having both on hand, whether I'm drawing out a blade or some steel, or if I'm forging in bevels, or if I'm putting together a Damascus billet. It's good to have the option to go back and forth between the two. Here's my little welder. I picked this up from Harbor Freight. Pretty straightforward. This one has the option to do stick welding, MIG welding, or TIG welding. I pretty much just use the MIG welder, but it's good to have a welder when you're doing bladesmithing. It comes up all the time. And this is where I've probably sunk the most money. This is my 2x72 fastback model from Ameribraid. This belt grinder has a ton of cool options and accessories, and Ameribraid's always coming out with new stuff, and they really kind of cater towards the knife maker. So I love what they're doing over there, and I'm always checking out their website because every time I go back, there's something new and interesting that that I want to buy. As you can see, I've got my surface grinding attachment here, which really comes in handy for cleaning up billets and just getting a good flat reference when you're making a blade. Got their sharpening system there, which I'll probably do a video for soon. Got the small wheel attachment, the large workbench, and the big 14-inch diameter wheel there. So it's pretty much everything I need for surface grinding to finishing my profiles and on into laying in my bevels. Here's my heat treat oven from Even Heat. I went a little bit overkill on this one, probably a lot bigger and deeper than I need, but every once in a while I might do a short sword here and there, and it's good to have that extra length. You don't absolutely need a heat treat oven to be a bladesmith, but it helps, especially when you're working with things that are more particular, like stainless steel, where you have to be more exact and specific with your temperatures and your hold times. You can do all that in the forge, but having a heat treat oven takes the guesswork out. I just made a video on my partial restoration of this old drill press. Needed something a little sturdier than my bench top that I've been using for years, and I really like this one so far. It's been pretty cool. And this is one of the last things, probably underrated in the shop, but it's really important to have a good vise. Whether you're putting a twist in a Damascus billet or you're just trying to bend something that's big and awkward, I opted to mount this right in the center of my shop as opposed to on the bench, because when I'm working on something cumbersome like that, it's good to be able to attack it from all angles and not being restricted to whatever layout you have when it's attached to a bench or something like that. So I'm really glad I decided to do that. And finally, here's my workbench. This is where I keep a lot of future projects laying around, and this is also where I do all my glue ups, and I'll do a lot of polishing and finishing on the little buffing wheel there too. A little bit of everything happens here. You can see off to the right, that's where I've got all my hand tools and files, and in the left, in those cabinets and drawers, I've got some different accessories, and that's where I keep my belts for the grinder and adhesive sandpapers and stuff like that. And that's pretty much it. Nothing super extravagant. You can definitely get away with a lot less, and you could dive a lot deeper into it if you wanted to. But to do things at the level that I'm doing them and at the pace that I'm comfortable with, this is my setup. I'm pretty happy with it. One more thing that's very important is lighting. You want to make sure that you have good lighting so you can see what you're doing and you're going to catch your mistakes sooner. Just save yourself a lot of trouble. So if you're putting together a new workshop, I would say start with lighting. That's probably one of the most important and overlooked aspects of a knife maker's shop, at least from what I've seen. That's pretty much the whole layout. You can see I've got a wood shop off to the left in my auto shop area, and then over here where I do all my knife work. And here's a rough cost rundown of everything that we just talked about. As you can see, it adds up. If you're looking to get into this as a hobby, you can make knives for a fraction of what we're looking at here. You really just need a hammer, an anvil, and a source for heat. But if you want to do it like I do it, this gives you some idea of what you're up against. And it's always growing too. For example, even as I'm making this video, I just purchased a 30-watt laser engraver for $1,700. I'll probably do a video on that when it comes in. It's an alternative for applying my benchmark in certain applications where the stamp just isn't really a viable option. But again, we'll talk about that in a future video. But yeah, it just seems like there's always something that comes up that you decide you need to take your craft to the next level, and that can get pretty expensive. People sometimes are shocked when they find out what these blades sell for, but they're probably also not aware of everything that goes into it. I mean, even just the last knife that I made, because it was Nitro V steel and I did a cryo treatment on it, between the cost of the steel and all the normal things, sandpaper, belts, etc., epoxy, handle material. On top of that, we had, about 2 gallons of isopropyl alcohol and dry ice. I probably had close to $250 in single-use materials just put into that one blade. So if you're looking to turn this into a business, obviously you need to turn a profit. You can't sell things for less than what you put into them, and it's definitely something to consider. All right, I guess that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or comments, just drop them down below and I'll definitely get back to you. I would really appreciate it if you'd like this video, and if you want to see more, please subscribe to my channel. It's a big help to me, and you'll get to see what comes out. You'll get notified when I make a new video, and you get to check it out. All right, thanks again, and I'll see you on the next one.